Welcome to Money on Tap. Money on Tap, your personal finance headquarters, where we bring out the professionals' experience and some fun in what we call three-dimensional investing, utilizing insurance, brokerage, and fee-based planning. That's what we do on this show. We look at all sides of the issues, and we bring a fully independent planning perspective to the table. Welcome to Money on Tap. So glad to have you aboard today. My name is Seth Krussman.
And I'm Ben Brayshaw.
If you're new to Money on Tap, welcome. It is one of those shows.
We're going to probably tick some people off.
Yes, and that's a goal, right? We're going to agitate you and frustrate you, and you're going to learn something today, by golly. If you live in Portland here, where I do, or just outside of, and your world is burning down around you.
You mean that communist country on the West Coast?
Yes, the one right next to Idaho. You're right. You couldn't have two like polar opposites closer to each other. And Oregonians, it's hilarious to have my friends over in Baker City talking about seceding from Oregon and trying to carve off that whole section of Oregon and go join Idaho. I'm there with you.
There you go. Hey, you know what? I just feel bad that, they're so upset out there. They're just going to burn everything down on us.
I haven't heard anything in the news about protests for a while. Have you?
Is that what we call them now? Protests?
Riots. I meant riots.
I thought we call it arson.
Portland, the land where felonies are free. Just go ahead. Rack them on up. Nobody cares.
I'm on the East Coast, and I am very thankful to my good Lord for that every day.
The right coast. The right coast. Ben always reminds me. Hey, if you're looking to get a hold of us because you love finance and you want to make a dent in your finance, you're looking to make some right moves, well, we're going to talk about that. We're going to get there, but you can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. We'll say that a few more times.
Today, one of the topics we have is the 10 steps to creating a budget, okay? It's not going to make everyone super angry, but we have some topics around that probably will bring some riling in the world around you, because we have up front now money in the news.
Yes, I couldn't have said that better myself, Ben. Very good. It's a very good topic. But before we get there, Jim Cramer says, what? If we get a stimulus package and you're out of the market, you will feel awful. Stay put. If there's a stimulus package is what Jim Cramer is saying. He feels that a stimulus package is very hard to get. But if we do get it, you can't be out.
He's dead on. I mean, I don't say that often, but he's dead on with this for a number of different reasons. We've seen the market rise. We talked about this week after week. We've seen the market rise. A lot of that is the money moving out of the bond market into the equity space, buying stocks each and every day, which has forced these numbers up, which is why we've seen all-time highs again in a number of indexes. Yeah, we're in this slump coming out of September, but, he's right. The stimulus package is driving a lot of things. I mean, they were talking about the savings that's going on with people not traveling in Canada and the U.S., the amount of money that's pouring into people's pockets that they're not spending, and that's creating opportunity for investments. The bond market is moving to the equity space, looking for, yield. We have foreign assets coming into the U.S. bond market because they have negative yields outside the U.S. He's right. If we get a stimulus package, this is just adding gasoline to the fire. I think it flames, and it flames hard. How many times have we said we think the Dow hits 30,000 fourth quarter or first quarter next year? We've been talking about that since before the pandemic. It's been set up. Rates have been dropping all along. Fed's been tampering with it. Now they've sent them all the way south. It's going to force people to find returns. He's right on.
So does it matter if it's 1.5 trillion or 2 trillion?
It's just a rounding error in my head.
Sounds like let's just call it 3 and call it a day, folks. And why not? What's another trillion in there?
What's a what's another increase of our entire debt by 10% in another month?
I mean, it's going to happen eventually anyways, folks. I'm going to go ahead and fold on this hand. But I agree with what you're saying. There's just too much money coming into the market here already. Really, it does look like there's another swath of change coming our way.
Well, this is an article that it lights a little bit of fire under me, which is the NFL. All right, I don't know how many people are watching the NFL, but I can tell you now, I know exactly how many people are not watching the NFL. What's interesting is Yahoo Sports, and I had to do this because there's so much money around Yahoo. You hear about the Penn Gaming stocks, you hear about the DraftKings and all the gambling stocks out there that are people are buying into, and they're the whole realm is around what the sports industry is doing. But man, the sports industry is getting hammered with how many people aren't watching, which is crazy to me because you think all these other gaming stocks are where everyone's saying the money's going to go, but there's literally massive returns of people not watching. Last week, okay, there was the Brady New Orleans playoff. One of the largest watched games in history since 2016, okay? So, hey, Ben, where are you talking about this loss? Well, I think that's just because Brady moved from the Patriots. It's a big deal. There's lots of things going on. But it's all about Sunday Night Football, folks. The real issues hit the fan because this last Sunday night, the Cowboys played the Rams, two of the largest teams with the largest followings in the entire NFL. And on a Sunday Night Football, year over year, they saw over a 30% decline in viewership. It was like 33%.
It's hard to put your finger on it. What are we saying? I mean, what are the factors in here that are turning us away? And I will say us because I have been one of those people that just can't stand watching. The one of my favorite things in the world to do is to just take an hour or two, not much out of the week. It's just an hour or two to watch football. Like there's something about it that I love. I'm a fan. But I cannot stand watching the knee, watching the names on the jerseys or the logos on the jerseys. It's just too much for me anymore to stand by and say, yeah, that's okay.
What about the article? What about the article about the one basketball player that stood against his entire team because his dad was in the military, refused to kneel, and they sold more of his jerseys than anyone else's jersey.
Yes.
It was some sort of statistic. It was ridiculous how many jerseys they sold. This is a real issue for the NFL. I mean, honestly, I've been playing fantasy football and watching NFL games constantly. I follow this stuff and so forth. This year, my entire fantasy football league didn't do it. That's like 12 people out, gone, not playing fantasy football. I did watch a little bit of the Bucks game with Tom Brady, because my son turned it on. My son turned it on, and we were curious of what it looked like, but we didn't watch that much because I didn't really care. No interest in watching any other football, and don't plan to really watch football because I just find it so absurd that they are that naive to the massive spit in the face it is to Americans across the country. And I'm proud of Americans who are not watching and boycotting this. It's fundamentally good.
Amen. You're bringing out my hands, both hands up and waving, and I might sing a song about it. But that's really all what else do you have to say? I mean, this is money in the news. We're getting there, and that's a big factor as far as what it bakes out in terms of the finances of these programs and the finances of the TV networks. And it'll be interesting to see what kind of money moves the dial here.
Well, the NFL will be taking a knee, but the knee will be begging us to come back. That's really what it's going to be because this is ridiculous what these people make.
Yes, it is. And I think that's going to bring us into the one article here that I just shake my head. I don't know where to go with it because it is such a huge factor for so many people, and there's underlying conversations on top of really there's a whole show here, but we'll try to do it justice. And this is from the Wall Street Journal. The factory workers stay home to watch their children. Right now, absentee rates from many U.S. factories remain elevated as coronavirus drags on and you can't leave a 6-year-old at home.
Well,
You used to be able to.
Yeah. Wow. This is really close to home for us, though, right, Seth? I mean,
Right.
we've talked about this on the show and what's going on and so forth. But when we were mandated to remain open, it was interesting because we have a number of employees and they have children and they were sent home, and we ended up, basically having our employees bring their children to work and rotate teaching in the conference rooms and so forth. I mean, we had a whole schedule and we figured out how to make it work. It was great. I was talking to somebody the other day about just how I got to know some of my employees' children really well. Like we were buying Dairy Queen on Friday afternoons and having a good time. I mean, the kids are hilarious. And now I know more about my employees and their families than I ever knew. And I would ask about soccer games and how they're doing and what's going on. And it's actually, it's a real interest. I really know their children now, which is kind of neat. And but what these factories are doing is exactly that, but on a much higher level, which is really amazing. They're actually hiring teachers to come in and either care for the children in daycare or teach the children their classes. So they're bringing the school to the factory. They're bringing the daycare to the factories because the daycares are being limited based on the number of kids that they can have. So the factories are saying, bring them here. We need you to work. This is crazy.
These are considered essential services, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about is like, what is deemed essential? What is deemed non-essential? And apparently what seems to be the current out there right now, and this is where I get wrapped around the axle, no doubt about it, is that our kids, our country's kids, and their education is not essential.
Yeah, this is wrong. I mean, this is straight up wrong. And I think I'm sure it has more to do with the teachers union than it has to do with the teachers. But somebody needs to step up and help these families because it's not about. And Seth, is the education of our children essential? Yeah, long term it is, and I think there's a hybrid here on some level probably that could work. But the truth is what about the single mom who's at home with a 6-year-old and has to provide for them and can't go to work, that has no one to help? I mean, where is that person really cared for? I mean, there's a real problem here, and I think our teachers need to, boycott the teachers union and go to work. And I mean, there's a number of them I've talked to who said, "Yeah, I'm willing to be essential." I mean, I've been essential. I haven't been any different. People have been bagging groceries for 6-8 months here, and they've been essential, willing to lose their life. Why would the teachers unions not allow people to allow others to live? That's a real problem in our society. There are real people who are suffering, and there are teachers out there willing to work, and they're working via Zoom because, the unions are mostly holding them. Most of the private schools, my children, 2 of them are in private school, they're going back 5 days a week. There's no problems. If you want to do remote, they set up cameras in the room. You can Zoom right into the room too if you want to do that, or if you get sick, it's very fluid. Yet my son goes to public school. What is he? He's remote. We've got 7 cases in the entire city. Okay, none of them are in the hospital, and we don't even have a hybrid model. I mean, it's just pathetic what Concord's doing. I mean, I'm just shocked by it because the rest of the schools in the state are hybrid at least. So it's really impacting people dramatically. They can't even go back to work a couple days even.
Yeah, you don't hear enough about these stories out there right now. And I think that is unfortunate because I think that there's a real voice that needs to be brought to the table, which is the person that had a job, that had a career, that was making their life work day to day. It was in the greatest economy we've known, and they had it taken away from them. And we don't want to go out there and point fingers. That's not the point here, right? We're not trying to say there's any group, any person, any politician, anything out there.
Maybe everybody, the teachers union.
Yes. Yeah.
I would, because they're the ones making the decision and the unions have to follow suit. But I mean, the teachers could boycott the union and literally pick up the slack for some of these families by fighting back. I mean, the union's not always right. And
True.
and
But they
that's
are such a powerful mover in terms of how the whole system works.
right. But you know what? People don't get into teaching because they don't care. They get into teaching because they care too much. And if they
Mm.
knew what was going on with some families, in real life in some situations, I mean, just they're talking about the child abuse and all the stuff going on at homes that's not caught because teachers are the ones that catch that stuff because
Yeah.
they're so awesome. They need to step up and say we are the protection mechanism for the family in some ways. And we need to
Yeah.
get back in the classroom with these kids to influence their lives because that's where I do it best, not on Zoom. And people need help. We need to jump out. We need people to jump out hard.
So that's going to do it for Money in the News. And we're going to come back with your budget show. We got 10. Count them, folks. 10. I mean, we could go all day long on how to make a budget, but
This is going to be a good budget show. This is the kind of budget show that you actually walk away and you have real things to write down. So if you get a piece of paper, listen to the podcast afterwards, this has real value.
And have we ever done a bad budget show? Does that mean, or there's just one out there, not us?
Yeah, I don't know. Have we ever done it? I don't know.
It's not gonna happen today. It's not gonna happen.
I'm not pointing fingers at you, Seth.
You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. You're listening to Money on Tap. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Ben Brayshaw, one of the co-hosts of Money on Tap. If you have questions when it comes to your retirement and are looking for a personalized solution, contact us at Brayshaw Financial Group. In today's volatile stock market, we can help you plan to find your successful retirement solution. Am I saving enough? Am I saving into the right places? Do my investments match my appetite for risk? Do I have a tax strategy that is going to help me keep more of what I earn? How can I maximize my Social Security income? If you are like most people, you are getting closer and closer to your retirement and may be wondering if you're taking the right steps. If you're in retirement, you may be wondering, am I maximizing my income while preserving my estate and caring for my family? We talk about all things financial in what we call three-dimensional investing, putting a plan around your financial future. If you feel that now is the time to start getting the answers to some of these questions for your own situation, give us a call at Brayshaw Financial Group at 855-226-8551. Headquartered in Bedford, New Hampshire, we have offices throughout New England and across the country. We would love the opportunity to show you how we can help. There's absolutely no cost or obligation just to meet with us, and we welcome you to our office. Call us at 855-226-8551.
Now back to Money on Tap with Ben and Seth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. And we're going to jump in right here, right now. We're in the budget show. And everybody's got one, right? You do. I do. Whether you like to admit it or not.
Most people don't have a budget, Seth. Come on.
Hey, you've got one. You just don't realize it. Your budget is, I don't care. And I don't want to. And that's your budget. Or your budget is super granular and you know the price of cornflakes at the store across the way. And that's where you go to get your cornflakes. Folks.
If you splurge for cornflakes.
If you splurge. Yeah, not that Kellogg's brand name cornflake. No way. Not in my house.
No, so here we got 10 steps to creating a budget, and we want you to grab a piece of paper. We want you to re-listen to this podcast. We want you to do this. We want you to do it right. We want you to do it well. And budgets are for everyone. Okay. Now, even if you don't, as Seth's correct, even if you think you don't have a budget or you're joking around, we're being sarcastic. I have found that everyone has a budget. They just don't even know that they have it. They know ballpark how much they should spend at the store. They know when they spent too much. They kind of feel guilty. Those types of things are your mental numbers that are running through your head that everyone knows. And everyone knows they're running into debt. Everyone knows they're spending over their budget. They just may not have the exact dollar figure, but they know they have a number they're supposed to hit. And that's the thing.
Yeah, we want you to have a budget ultimately, or else we wouldn't even bring this to the table. It wouldn't even be a noteworthy topic, but it is something that's essential, right, for everybody in finance to have. If you want to have healthy, good relationship with your money and where that's going and what's happening, this is it. And this is such a great show for you to get on track, grab it, make it your own. And I was going to just jump in actually with like the first part of this is like, let's go ahead. Let's set and understand your goals.
Number one. That's right. This is one of the things is, people are either jumping into a budget because of some major necessity or, something's going on in their life, or you're hearing this right now today saying, you know what, he's right. I should do this finally to maximize something. And we have like 4 goals that we've pinpointed. We look at a lot of different information out there and we usually say, we like this, we like that. This is not in anything. One of the things is that a lot of people list out all sorts of goals. I think there are 4 that Seth and I have come up with. The first one is you want to save more. You're saving. You're saying, hey, listen, I need a certain dollar amount for something that I need to put together. It could be a new car. It could be a vacation. It could be anything. The second item is debt.
I like the last one, vacation.
Vacation. The second one's debt. I mean, whether it's you're carrying personal debt, you've got an IRS issue. I mean, usually someone says, I need to do a budget because I got this debt I have to deal with. And that's pretty popular. Right? That seems to be a number 1 item most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people have conversations around this third one, which is your cash flow. And without even understanding, there's all sorts of areas that this really encompasses as well. And there's a lot of stress for people, especially couples coming together and trying to figure out how this works. And so there's cash flow stress. And 4, another favorite is retirement, right?
And this would fall under savings a little bit, but it really is a separate category because of how many different ways there are to retire.
It would definitely fall under savings because I rarely see people retire without savings.
Well, it could be that they're doing real estate or they're doing, I think of it as beyond savings because it could be a retirement plan. It could be outside of their normal thing because, when we getting to number 2, which is not really my plan right this second, but number 2 is to calculate and establish your net income. And if you're putting away money for a retirement plan, you may look at your net income as what comes through the paycheck. And if you're putting money away directly into your 401k, that would not be part of your net income, that kind of after they take out all your taxes and stuff. That's the net. And so that's one of those things where retirement could be like, hey, you know what? I got to figure out how to save for retirement and not necessarily save like for a specific current event.
So yeah, let's just talk about that real quick because there's the gross and the net, and really people running off of a gross number on trying to develop a budget. That is hands down one of the biggest mistakes people make. Okay, and you're just gonna wind up having a big shortfall because you haven't factored some of those things that are mandatory expenses coming through the immediately off the top, and that's where we're talking about is like you've got an income. And then after your income, if you have a 401k, 403b, right, that's coming off of the side of that, as well as your taxes, Social Security, right? There's all those other factors. When you take a look at your check, your paycheck will tell you all of those things that have happened. And then that number at the end of the day, that's the one that you put into the bank account, right? Net. Now, businesses are different because there is no, well, that's not true. You can run a business and you can take a paycheck from your business. I won't say that, but typically those are all other factors that you're aware of and you're considering. At the end of the day, you really have to do a little bit more due diligence around that net number. But if that's a struggle, we highly recommend that you have bookkeeping in place for that and a CPA or a tax advisor that's really getting you some of those net numbers put together so that you can take a look at the balance sheet and how everything's working in your finances.
Yeah, and I think, Seth, when it comes to net income, calculating that is not just, for a lot of people, it's just hey, this is my paycheck that comes through. And a lot of people forget that there are 5 paychecks, basically every quarter. There's 1 month that has 5 paychecks, if you're paid weekly. So understanding how that extra money comes through and managing through that, I always encourage people just to base everything off of just a 4-week income on your net income. Go ahead.
You know what? That's a great idea. It's kind of like
Hey, thank you,
it's
Seth.
kind of like you've got this windfall of a fifth week somehow.
I love that story for people. It is always there's always that thing you never prepared for that extra week seems to cover a lot of things.
Number 3, know your expenses. Know them all. These are the core expenses and the mandatory expenses that you're going to have. And you're going to want to spend a fair amount of time on this. This does, I mean, you're going to research a little bit of this. You're going to realize as you go through this too, maybe things have changed. Maybe what you thought was there before wasn't. And so this is a great exercise on a regular basis, right? To take a look at that. So you're going to have your core expenses.
Yeah, I think, Seth, when it comes to the core and the mandatory expenses, this is really this is food, shelter, clothing. This is not Netflix. Okay? When it comes to core expenses.
What?
Yeah, no, it's not Netflix. It's not Disney Plus. These are core expenses to really run your house. And this is a very, very important exercise. Now, I would let someone include internet. I probably wouldn't have 5 or 10 years ago, but now, yes.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit because there's some flexibility maybe in some of these items. It's not your housing is not.
Your housing,
but you could change
your housing, your electric, your water,
right.
Your sewer, right? Your food, your clothing. Now, clothing, and we're talking like you need to buy underwear. I mean, I'm talking basic clothing. We're not talking about, hey, listen, we go to Marshall's or TJ Maxx or whatever every other week, and we, buy a bunch of stuff on sale and saved all this money.
You can't go through Costco or Sam's Club without.
Right. Exactly. That is a horrendous way to manage. This is core expenses, and the reason this is important, and the reason I would consider internet is because of just all the education issues. I mean, you cannot do things without the internet. Now, I know here locally, the internet companies are allowing people to get internet for free for education purposes if you don't have any. That's been offered to a lot of refugees and so forth that have been brought to our area. And I think that's great. I think that's wonderful they're doing that. But mandatory expenses are really important because it will basically identify 2 things. The first thing is if you take your net income and you subtract your absolute core mandatory expenses, you're going to have one of 2 things happen. You're either going to have enough money to pay your bills, more than enough, or you're not going to have enough. And this, Seth, we were talking about this earlier. This really defines a lot for people. And, sadly, in a divorce, separation, some scenarios like that we've seen where everything's in excess and all of a sudden somebody's gone and now the housing expenses, the food, the everything, it's gone. I mean, there's no excess. You got these mandatory expenses. And at that point in time, that's where having that conversation with your friend, your family, someone like us, a financial planner, somebody, to really evaluate what you have to do now to get yourself to the point where there's no shortage when you calculate mandatory against what your net income is.
One of the things I was going to say is there's great programs. A lot of churches offer them, the Dave Ramsey program for kind of that get out of debt. A lot of the components that we're talking about are there, but and I'm not necessarily advocating that you go do the Dave Ramsey show program. What I want to talk about is that outside of Ben and I, we know some great people that plug in at their churches to just be there to help, to run questions by, to work through these scenarios. And man, I can't tell you how many wonderful people there are connected with our church that just do that out of their heart because they want to help people figure out how to operate a budget and get into some of these factors that are questionable or the sticking points inside of the core expenses and what does it look like to work through a budget. So for what it's worth.
Yeah, and I think the hard issue here, and no one wants to ever hear is, look, if you have a shortage, what do you do? That's when you need someone to really help you, okay? And that's probably the time you just need to be humble and vulnerable and just say, listen, this is what's happened. I need would you just give me a little bit of time just to help me get some perspective on this? Do you know anybody? I need a new place to live. It's too expensive where I'm at. I don't have a second income to support that place. That's usually what I see happen from time to time. I also see where a husband makes or a significant other makes a lot of money. That person leaves, and the spouse or the significant other's left there without making a lot of money with children. And they don't have the income to support anything near the food needs even, or they don't even have a job because they've been home with kids. I mean, there's lots of different things that have happened I've seen, and they're very difficult scenarios to deal with. But once you get to that excess space where your net income and your pure core expenses to live, you're in a positive moment. This is not, your budget's not over, right? This is the third, moving into the fourth step. This is when you start setting your financial goals. This is when the reason you started the budget to begin with happened, that you say, hey, this is what we want to accomplish.
That is the crux of it, I would say, where you get back into, we're backing into this idea of the goal, right? And how to create a goal and how to make that stick. And before we get there, we're going to take a quick break. You are listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551. And if you are SMART, you will stick around for the next part on goals. Thanks for listening to Money on Tap. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Seth Krussman, partner with Brayshaw Financial Group and one of the co-hosts of Money on Tap. One of the biggest concerns and largest expenses people face today is taxes. Without thoughtful planning, taxes can destroy future retirement dollars, eliminating the possibility of a timely retirement or dreams of what you want retirement to look like. If you're like most people, you're getting closer and closer to retirement, and you may be wondering if you're taking the right steps. Will my income be enough? Will rising taxes force me to give up my dreams? How does inflation factor into all of this? These are real concerns, and you're not alone. Putting a plan around your financial future is what we do. If you have questions when it comes to your financial security, and if you're looking for a personalized solution, contact us at Brayshaw Financial Group, 855-226-8551. It's time for you to start getting answers to your questions. Headquartered in Bedford, New Hampshire, Brayshaw Financial has offices across the country. We'd love the opportunity to show you how we can help. There's absolutely no cost or obligation to meet with us. Call us at 855-226-8551. 855-226-8551.
Now back to Money on Tap with Ben and Seth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. And we are talking about building a budget, 10 steps that you got to have these. You got to do it. And you want to do it because you're going to have goals. That's why you want a budget. It helps you. It really, really helps you to get to your goals. Now, if you don't have a goal, then that's your goal, right? And that's what you're going to do. That's one version. But for probably the majority of us out there, we want that. We want to go that direction. We have something in our heart that is telling us we can do this. This is within reach. I just need to work or edge or create this over here to allow that to happen.
Seth, I mean, the goals can be super exciting, and they're usually thrilling. I think about the things that people come in and say, this is what I want to accomplish. I want to get a new house, or I want to get a house, or we're having a baby, and I want to save for college. We have debt, and we need to address that, and we need to get out of debt. It's burdensome to us. Goals and what we're talking about here are literally, I use the word thrilling. It's exciting. It's motivating. It's something that's driving you to literally want to choose to do this. And, I got to tell you, Seth, there's one thing about goals that can really backfire for people. It's kind of like losing weight. You say, hey, listen, I want to lose the weight. I want to lose 20, 30 pounds, whatever it is, or 10 pounds. And maybe I just want to lose more weight than most. But, you want to lose some weight, and you get to that number, and all of a sudden, what do? I can't wait to have that ice cream. I've
Oh.
earned that ice cream. And then boom, you look back 5-6 months later, you're right back to where you're at. I find that financial goals have that cyclical feeling too. I find that people sometimes get out of debt. It's a great goal. They work for it. And then they slowly get back into debt.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're back to where they're at. So goals can be dangerous because you have to keep revamping those. You have to keep, once you hit one, you have to know where your next step is. And that would be the only thing. I think, Seth, you have the smart conversation here.
Yeah. So SMART goals. If you've ever developed goals in an organization, this is the template throughout almost any place that you go, looking at goals and how to be successful in developing goals. And SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-based. Okay. So what gets measured grows. And it is a fact. If you are in this and you are getting specific about what it is that this goal is, and you start measuring that and paying attention to it, right? It will move. It's just a fact. The achievable is important. All right. And we talk about goals in different ways. Usually we talk about them in the short term, a midterm, and a long term. Okay. It's important not to put the long-term goal into your short-term time frame because that's just not achievable. Okay. And so we take those bite-sized pieces and we measure and we make that realistic. Okay. The time-based, there has to be some kind of a time element there. And we talk about, again, that time being short, medium, or a long term. And there's a wonderful book out there, Atomic Habits, if you are wanting to understand more about how to become successful in setting goals for yourself, in achieving goals. It really gets into the psychology, which is a whole study in and of itself of how to do this. And there's some great ways to help yourself to become successful in setting SMART goals as well.
Seth, there's so much inside that, and I think I'm really glad you brought that up because, the achievable piece is really, really important. And, there's a timestamp to achievable too. So it's like, hey, listen, I want to save for a house. Well, that's not going to happen tomorrow, but you put that timestamp of what you're trying to do and how that's trying to happen. That's important. Because, when you set your financial goals, setting those with somebody who can validate all of this for you, that these goals are achievable, that's important. Like that's realizing that you're not completely out of your wheelhouse. Like this is completely reasonable. You can do this. This is something that seems plausible for you. There's another piece to life here. And, Seth, I think when you were talking about this and we were kind of chatting about this and kind of working through, the one piece that I see, over and over again, as we were talking about, that just is missing from almost every budget conversation out there is enjoying your life. Like no one talks about how do you enjoy your life in a budget. Budget sounds so nasty and dirty and it's just no fun and I can't do anything I want to do. It's not what you want. So how do I enjoy my life, Seth, with a budget?
Well, I'm going to go back to the cornflakes and just eat cornflakes every day, right? That's what the feeling is when we say budget or
if you're splurging, Seth, if you're going to splurge.
Yeah, I really am because it's not cheap. Yeah, so how do I enjoy my life? And I think one of the things in building these SMART goals that you get an opportunity to do is you get an opportunity to really tap into how you are created. And you are created beautifully, amazingly around success. And there's going to be failure through that process, right? That's the only way you're going to find that. But you can check the boxes. And have you ever made that list where you check the box and how does that feel, right? That makes your brain do something for you, right? When you get those things out there that you want and you start putting these goals together and you start achieving and you start measuring and you start doing these steps and you start highlighting and marking the X's on your calendar and you start seeing the daily progress or the weekly progress that you have there, you feed an incredible part inside of you of how God created you to be successful here. And the more that you do that, the more that you start to develop these habits around successful finance and getting what it is that you want.
Yeah, and I think, that being number 5 is, enjoy your life, okay? And the reason that's on there and the reason it says talking about that stuff and the way I would even push that out is it's not all work and no play. It's specific play and the rest is work. I think you have to pick and choose. What I end up finding is that people eat out every night, or they're going on super expensive vacations they can't afford, or they're doing both of those, and then they're buying the expensive car. You've got to pick and choose what really brings joy to your life. Like, I got to tell you, this is going to sound a little silly for some people, but I really do. I enjoy traveling. I mean, that's fun. But some of the best trips I've ever been on my life were missions trips. They honestly were. I mean, I ended up, taking my wife and my 2 boys to Guatemala with AMG, and we had a wonderful experience there. It was an amazing time. We spent a little over a week there, and probably the most memorable trip we'll have, honestly. Now, it was costly. We saved for it. We intentionally did that, and that's where, like, certain trips, they just don't have to have it doesn't need to necessarily always be a beach. It could just be a camping experience. But I'll tell you, when we first started out and we were running money and being a financial planner, I'm not always the perfect financial planner in my own. It's kind of like the electrician who doesn't put the plates on his outlets, kind of thing when you go but I always used to save a little bit each month for us to go do something. And every month I'd automatically put in, whether it was $25 or $50, I just put in something just to do something. So I would always have money that I never felt guilty about spending towards it.
And that made the other process of doing the work so much more gratifying, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
I wasn't stretching to make something happen. I wasn't, it was a wonderful experience. And I encourage people, enjoy life, but you have to label it. If you're married, you sit down and you say, hey, listen, what are the things that make us tick? What are the things that make us excited, that we look forward to the most? Is it going out to dinner every Friday night? If that's not a yes, then that's not it. Is it, when we go on a camping trip, or we go, skiing, or, is it just our date nights on Tuesday? I mean, what is it that really brings joy to your life? Because joy is really important. God brought joy into this world. He is joy, and he wants us to have that. And there's things that amplify our joy. He's paired us with people that amplify that joy. Finding that together is really, really, really important.
That's what I'm finding right now, Ben. So much joy doing this with you here today.
Good. We're done, Seth. Your budget's done. Your budget's done.
What kind of budget do you want to have? All right. Number 6. Yes. There are different kinds of budgets. I mean, there's different flavors. Like we love chocolate. We love ice cream. We love vanilla. We love strawberry. So you can have a 0 budget. And this approach is really the Dave Ramsey approach. And it involves making the income minus outflow equals 0. Okay, so with a 0-sum budget, every dollar you have is assigned to a job, with some of those dollars going into savings, the rest assigned to different spending categories. This type of budget, yes, can be restrictive. It's not right for everybody. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I know. The concept is good. Like, listen, you don't need to save anymore. You're gonna spend every penny you possibly can down on debt. That's where that's going. It's not really the right way, in my opinion, to do it perfectly, but if it works for you, there's a lot of risk on the table sometimes in the Dave Ramsey world that I don't like. I don't think people parallel that properly, but they take him too literally, though I don't think he's as literal as he potentially comes across. And then there's the, I don't give any credence to this, but it is, and then she probably is taking credit for something, but one other budget, because we wanted to have something else out there for you, but it's the 50-30-20 budget, which is an approach that Elizabeth Warren, Democrat from Massachusetts, helped create. Now, I don't know if she created that any more than she claims anything else in her life, but it's the concept that 50% of the income is allocated towards needs such as rent, food, and so forth, and minimum payments of debt. 30% is earmarked for trips. 20%
goes towards savings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Key here is really that you've got to automate this thing. You've got to kind of like that deduction out of your check that goes into that tax bucket and that the IRS bucket, the 403B, 401k bucket. It's already done for you. You can do this with your. I mean, we have the ability to do this today where there's an automated system that this can kind of out of sight, out of mind, that 20% right off the bat.
This is simpler than this. I mean, let's call it the Ben Brayshaw bucket here. I mean, Ben Brayshaw budget scenario. I mean, you do these numbers, you put it together, and if you have excess after that, we can talk, okay? We can figure out what the next best thing for you to do that you happen to be missing because you have a massive excess of cash. All right, folks, I'm sure that the majority of people listening to the show are not struggling trying to find where to put their savings.
Ben, everybody here is imagining you sending them to Guatemala. Basically, they're like, what Ben's plan is go to Guatemala.
Yeah, there you go.
That's my next vacation.
Well, number 7, we're getting close here on time. Number 7 is budgeting software. I mean, a lot of people are used to the pen and paper. In today's world, there is just so much opportunity in the technology space. We've seen, people are probably familiar with, Mint.com, Google Sheets, Pocket Guard, YNAB, Buddy, EveryDollar, Truebill. I mean, there's a bunch of them out there. I don't really know much about any of them. I fooled around with Mint because I was curious about it. But that's about the only experience I have. I don't have any idea about the quality of them, the ability of them, the security of those things. So we give you no recommendations on any particular one. But I would encourage you to find something that you can do the due diligence on and use that has, probably a great phone app that you can use.
Yeah. That's definitely the free version. And if you're looking for a personalized version, we have one here at Brayshaw Financial Group that we use for our clients. And it's part of the software that we bring to the table when working with you. We love you, our clients. And that's one of the things that makes it great working with us at Brayshaw Financial Group. We got it. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. We are at the end, my friend. We are at the final 3 of our budgeting show. Hopefully you've been taking notes. If not, you can find us at yourmoneyontap.com and have another listen to this show. Go back through and make it your own. Because that's what it's got to be. This has to be your own. These are our suggestions. This is how we find success working through budgets with our clients and ourselves, our friends, our family. And to take us to the home stretch, we're going to get on to number 8, weekly meeting joint effort of you and your spouse. You got to do it together. If you're not communicating right now, guess what? That's a step that we probably should have put at the beginning here, right? Is get ready because you're going to have some conversations. Now, the thing with this, the keys here are you have to make this an experience that both of you can sign on for. And that usually means something fun. Make it a date night. Make it a happy event. Start light. Right? Start out there with some of the things that you have dreamt about, some of the things that you would love to accomplish, some of those goals that we talked about back in step 5 that you have deep inside of you, some need that you have deep inside of you. Get that on the table and have a conversation about it. And make it a part of your life that you enjoy and you look forward to on a weekly basis. The consistency is going to drive far more than the intensity, right?
Yeah, I would say that's, Seth, I tell people these weekly meetings, they should be fun. They should be interesting. They should be your catch up. They should be the piece that makes sure that, the bills you didn't connect in your, most of the software allows you to connect those bills and link them together. This should be the, truing up your finances to finish out the week. This should be and this is not a great Sunday night thing, by the way. This is
It's not?
No, it is not a good Sunday night thing because you're getting ready for the week and now you got work to do. Okay.
Right.
It's a much better Saturday morning, Saturday night. It is, or afternoon or something. It is better not to be doing it at the end of your weekend. It seems like it never happens. I will say that Monday evenings are also a good time to do them. Personal experience. That's what I found. And, literally both going into the software, linking the stuff, pulling out your receipts, making sure you got it, and I got to tell you, in the financial world, there's almost invariably somebody hiding something in a marriage financially because they feel embarrassed or whatever. And, that's something you guys got to figure out how to deal with and get some help around. And I've helped people with that stuff. I mean, we've dealt with it a number of times. Tears, struggles, problems, all of that. If you're single, okay, this is something that, it's just a weekly appointment for yourself to make sure you're truing up those finances, okay, and so forth. And number 9, which kind of brings in, and this is not a weekly item, is evaluating your progress. Okay? Go ahead.
I want to say celebrate success because I think that's the thing that happens. There's definitely a tendency for us to always get on that. What do we not accomplish? Because in a goal relationship, believe it or not, you are going to not get it all. It will not happen.
Yeah, but I wouldn't title it Celebrate Success because if you're failing miserably and you realize, my entire budget that I set up, even though I followed all these steps, I was not true to myself and I forgot 4 annual expenses that all came up this month that I didn't put into my budget,
right?
Which does happen, folks, is evaluate the progress. If you're being successful, congrats. And I usually tell people if you're saving more money than you thought, take 20% of that and put it away in something you're going to have fun with.
Like I said, celebrate success. That's a successful day.
But I wouldn't lose hope if you haven't been successful, right?
Right.
And number 10.
Can I stay there on number 9 for just a second more? Yeah, sure. Don't lose hope, right? And I think that's the thing is because you can find success in just being a part of the process, right? If you are here at number 9, you are being successful because you are doing this, and that's what I go back to.
Not if you're losing your house, though, Seth.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just teasing you. All right, go. Number 10,
accountability. Ben loves to be accountable at all times when we come to the table with this. No, this doesn't have to be, again, this doesn't have to be the person that necessarily is always looking over your shoulder or anything like that. But the process can really help you get to this place where you will recognize, if you get here, you're going to recognize that there's somebody here, and usually it's your spouse that you're having this conversation with, but there also can be that third party, Ben or myself, that can be a part of that. And I have that so many times on the weekly, monthly, quarterly meetings that we have, be a part of gratitude for our clients where they just are saying, oh, how would Seth or how would Ben respond to that question? Can I go buy the sailboat? Well, have we done the work to get to that goal yet? Yeah.
That's a great point. And I would say that, financial planner is definitely the best accountability option because it offers the least personal issues. I would say that if you have a friend who is not judgmental, who's financially savvy and can understand this stuff and it's not going to be an issue, that's a great second choice. I don't necessarily find parents to be a good option because it usually tends to be, a breakdown of the kind of the peer-to-peer relationship that you get as you become an adult, which is, I think, really important for self-esteem. But I would say, there's always usually somebody in your life that you can, as a couple or as an individual person, that you can go to and say, listen, would you mind just chatting with me every once in a while? It might be 3 months. It might be 6 months. It might be just once a year. Just make sure that these are some personal goals I have. And it could be personal, or it could be personal financial.
You've been listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. You can also find us at Facebook. We're at /3D Investing. We're also on Twitter at BFG_LLC. And as always, you can also find us at yourmoneyontap.com. Thanks for listening. Thanks for liking our podcast. We appreciate you, and we can't wait to make it a great day and a great life with you here at Money on Tap.
The views expressed are not necessarily the opinion of this radio station and should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risks, including loss of principal invested. No strategy, product, material, or tool mentioned can assure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information, products, materials, or tools mentioned should be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. This show may be subsidized in whole or in part by a product sponsor or issuer. Securities and advisory services offered through SagePoint Financial Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC, and a registered investment advisor. All other services offered through Brayshaw Financial Group LLC are independent of SagePoint Financial. SagePoint Financial and Brayshaw Financial Group do not provide tax or legal advice. Main office is located at 116 South River Road, Bedford, New Hampshire, 03110, and can be reached at toll-free 855-226-8551.
Well, bye.